This NBA offseason has been nuts. Kawhi Leonard or Paul George are playing in Los Angeles, but with the Clippers. Anthony Davis finally got traded to the Lakers. Russell Westbrook, for God's sakes, is reunited with James Harden, but it's in freaking Houston. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving going to the Nets. I could go on and on and on. This NBA offseason has been batshit. It's been crazy. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. And it actually could be a little bit of a reason to have some hope for this upcoming regular season, as we don't really feel like we have one true super team anymore. It kind of balances out the competitive playing field here. And you feel like, in theory, there could be more real contenders for next year's NBA championship. It may not play out that way, but it feels good to think about it like that right now. A lot of Batman and Robin types of pairings. And all the while, with all the other discussions, one team that hasn't been talked about as much, outside of, yes, some of the moves that have happened, some of the things that have been done, but in general, a team that's not getting a lot of buzz, ironically enough, are the Golden State Warriors. The same Golden State Warriors that have dominated the league over the past half decade, making it to 5 straight NBA Finals, winning 3 World Championships in that time. Those Golden State Warriors, who were just in the NBA Finals again for the 5th straight year, coming off of 2 straight championships. And nobody's freaking talking about them. It's about the Lakers, and it's about the Clippers, and it's about the Rockets, and it's about the Nuggets, and it's the Blazers, and it's this team, and it's that team. And you go on East, it's about the Sixers, it's about the Nets, it's about the freaking Bucks and Pacers, and so on and so forth. It's like the Warriors are just going under the radar here. Like, there's this feeling of inevitability that now that Kevin Durant is gone, that these guys can't be contenders anymore. And what's crazy about that notion is the beginning of this Golden State Warriors run, the beginning of their dynasty, do we forget that those first 2 years, they didn't have Kevin Durant? They won a championship in 2015. In 2016, they had a 73-win season, and then, Jesus Christ, they blew a 3-1 lead in the finals. This very easily could have been a situation where they could have won 4 straight NBA championships heading into this year's NBA Finals. And if Kevin Durant is healthy, and if Klay Thompson doesn't blow out his knee, maybe the Warriors win 5 straight titles. Like, think about that for a second. The margins here are so thin that the Warriors could have been coming off of 5 straight championship seasons. But even then, 3 and 5 years is incredibly impressive, and that organization deserves a tremendous amount of credit for making that happen. But the Warriors sit here now almost like an afterthought as the defending Western Conference champions, the preeminent dynasty of this decade of NBA basketball, and nobody's talking about them. So it brings about the question, are the Golden State Warriors still title contenders? Well, and you look at their offseason. You have Kevin Durant sent off to the Brooklyn Nets so he can play with Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan. You lose Sean Livingston by waiving him. You trade away Andre Iguodala. Those are critical players to trade away. Durant, one of the very best players in the game today and a future first ballot Hall of Famer, who was a part of back-to-back championship teams, a key cog in helping you get to the finals the last 3 years. No longer there. Sean Livingston, a valuable role player. You know, one of those dudes that will go on 40 years from now. We'll be talking about guys sitting on the porch with our fat guts and bald heads and our limp dicks. And we'll be talking about the glories of guys like Sean Livingston. Because those role players that play big-time roles and big-time spots for championship teams live on forever. See Steve Kerr and Tony Kukoc and Robert Horry and Kenny the Jet Smith and so on and so forth. We still talk about those guys to this freaking day. And then they trade away Andre Iguodala, who was unquestionably the heart and soul of that Warriors team. He wasn't their best player, and you could sit there and maybe make the argument he wasn't their most important player, but I would beg to differ. It was Andre Iguodala that helped make them a championship contender to begin with. It was Andre Iguodala who helped bring in a different attitude and a different mindset. It was Andre Iguodala who will someday have his jersey number retired by the Warriors and hanging in the fucking rafters. And even as a role player, he deserves it. It was a guy like Iguodala who helped make that deadly-ass Warriors Death 5 lineup work. They don't have any of those guys. I still have Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. They give Klay Thompson his max deal that he richly deserves. Sure, he'll be rehabbing from an ACL tear and may not be available until perhaps April or even May of this upcoming season. But he earned it, he deserved it, and you still have the Splash Brothers. You still have one of the very best backcourts in recent NBA history. The best shooting backcourt in NBA history beyond question. You still have Draymond Green, and now that you don't have Kevin Durant there anymore, it might allow Draymond Green to take on a little bit of a bigger role. And then you, as part of trading away Kevin Durant, get D'Angelo Russell back in return and give him 4 years and $117 million. Now, in theory, this looks great. A young all-star on what is, frankly, an affordable max contract compared to some of the other max contracts that you see. And he's still, 23, 24 years of age, maybe? So you can make an argument that he's not close to his peak yet, and he still has his best years ahead of him, and they could happen in the next 3 to 4 seasons. Not a bad deal. At less than $30 million a season, yeah, you know what? Sign me up for that shit. But it's really awkward without something else being at play here. Specifically, trading him a couple of months from now, or trading him in the future. It's really hard to see how a D'Angelo Russell fits the offensive style of the Warriors, who are predicated on spacing the floor and ball movement and off the ball movement. And D'Angelo Russell is better as kind of a pounded into the ground, a dribbling guy, a guy that plays better off of slowing it down, playing off of screen and roll. Really hard to see how the offense fits with him. And then it's hard to really see the defensive fit, because now if you're talking about Curry and Russell playing in the same backcourt, some teams are going to be able to shred them. Like, imagine them in the playoffs playing Portland and having to face Lillard and McCollum. They're going to get their clocks cleaned defensively. Lillard and McCollum are going to run all over them. That's crazy to me. So unless there's a possibility for another deal here, it's really hard for me to see the fit. And even once Klay Thompson eventually comes back from the ACL, what are you going to do? You're playing him at the 3? Are you going to start playing D'Angelo Russell off the bench? I'm sorry, but I'm not paying $29 million a year to a guy to come off the fucking bench. Even though we're damn near getting to that point in the league, that's how ridiculously out of whack the salary structure has gotten. They re-signed Kevon Looney. They bring in Willie Cauley-Stein, which I thought was one of the more unheralded free agent signings this offseason. Bring him in on a minimum deal. He is much more than a minimum player. He's not a star, but he deserves more than minimum money, and you're getting him basically at minimum money. But I look at this Warriors team that has lost some depth. They've lost some marquee talent. They've lost some championship experience and leadership off that team. They bring in a young player as it stands right now, assuming there's not another trade in the works. That's going to be an awkward fit offensively, potentially, and most certainly will be an awkward fit defensively. And I look at this and I say, man, I just don't know. But as much as I could point to those different factors and say, well, that cinches it, the Warriors aren't title contenders, I don't think it's that simple. They still have Steph Curry. They still have a versatile, multidimensional player in Draymond Green, even though I don't know just how truly valuable he is. There's still value there. And now, where he doesn't have to worry about Durant taking a lot of the shots that maybe used to go to Draymond Green, Draymond will perform better. Sometimes that happens. And eventually you're going to get Klay Thompson back. And if you're the Warriors and you can hang around a little bit above 500 and maybe have a run here or there, and you could find a way to win 48 or 50 games in the regular season, you get Klay Thompson back in time for the playoffs, who the hell knows? Because you're still going to have plenty of chemistry on that team. Most of your notable big-name guys have played together for years. That is a chemistry that is not currently afforded to the Clippers, is currently not afforded to the Lakers, is currently not afforded to the Houston Rockets and other teams in the Western Conference. And even if you say, well, you look at Denver and you look at Portland, the Warriors in theory could still be better teams than both of them. I don't think it's so wise to automatically just write off the Warriors. And they could fall off of a cliff this year. And by the time Klay would come back, it's too damn late. That could absolutely happen. But if you can get into the playoffs and you're the Warriors, you might have just as good of a damn chance as any damn buddy. And if anything, with the way the NBA has shaped up for this upcoming season, where it's not really about super teams, it's about guys pairing up and wanting to play together, it's brought a little more parity into the playoff picture, a little more parity into the championship picture, which I think allows the Warriors to hang around more than you might anticipate. There have been a lot of changes, been a lot of moves. But the reality is, it was time to make some of those moves. And the reality is, there's still some really damn good players and a lot of championship experience. And that most certainly can matter come playoff time. Are the Warriors still title contenders? Yes. They still have Steph Curry. Eventually they'll get back Klay Thompson. They still have Draymond Green. Until other teams in the NBA prove otherwise, you'd be wise not to totally write them off just yet.